maybe wondering what I'm reviewing here. Read it earlier, but I'm looking through it again. It's Ray Comfort's 50-page introduction to the origin of species. And I have to say that this little gem, this little wonderful introduction that I've turned into a little pamphlet, is so full of bullshit that it's currently the leading cause of global warming. I'm not kidding. I can feel the heat coming off of it. It's bad. But basically, let's review it. It is the same old, tired, creationist rhetoric that they've been spouting now for more than a century. Claims like the eye is too complex to have evolved. Of course, that's been dealt with by many biologists, including Richard Dawkins. Or claims that no transitional species exist, and that the ones that have, no transitional fossils have been found, and the ones that have been claimed to be found are either forgeries or they don't really show transitionals. One of the ones he mentions is a 1999 find, which was a forgery from China of so-called Archaeoraptor. But he totally discounts all the other finds of, say, like Archaeopteryx and Protoopteryx and all those guys, as well as the large number of theropod dinosaurs we now know to have had feather-like plumage. Yeah, Ray. No link, no transitional form, no transitional fossils. But he also complains that certain transitionals aren't really transitionals because, you have, say, origin species 1, say the Eohippus, and then you have the Mesohippus, and then you continue up the ladder. Ladder's a bad analogy. But you can continue up through those finds that they only show major changes or major differences. They don't show what he claims is the expected gradual accumulation of changes that we should find in millions of fossils on the planet. Well, of course, the truth is, fossilization is not an easy or a common event. It's called taphonomy, if you want to look it up and learn about how dead things become fossils, provided I didn't mispronounce it. The truth is, fossils are rare. They don't happen very often. It takes a large population of organisms to produce fossils in sufficient numbers that we are likely to find them. Which means that if you have a small population where, through the mechanisms of genetic drift and natural selection, have actually caused a significant and recognizable morphological change, we're talking a small population that happens in. In large populations, you don't get genetic drift. Therefore, the population kind of remains similar. It's a kind of genetic inertia, if you will. But in small populations, that genetic inertia isn't there, and their allele frequencies, the very meat of what evolution is, vary at a greater rate than a large population. If, for instance, that population then grows and moves in and replaces or takes over from its parent population and becomes a large population which does produce sufficient number of fossils that we may actually find one, we see this so-called leap. This is what's known as punctuated equilibrium. That this evolution occurs at a fairly fast rate in small populations, and then those small populations grow and then eventually replace the parent population. So we see basically leaps in the fossil record and not smooth gradations. This is expected. This is what we see when we study the populations of animals and the population of other organisms. And if Ray Comfort was a biologist, he would know that. So transitional species, we have plenty of them. We have Ichthyostega, Acanthostega, Tiktaalik. We have Morganocodon. We have Archaeopteryx. We have Mesohippus, Eohippus. We have any of the cetaceanoids. We have, just in our own lineage, I'm going to leave Ida out of it because there's still some debate on that one, but we have Lanthropus chadensis. We have Australopithecus africanus, Australopithecine afarensis. The Robustus, definitely not on our lineage, but it could be but it's a descendant of the other two. We also have Homo heidelberg. Sorry, jumped ahead there. Darn it, I got stuck. Homo erectus, as well as many variations of Homo erectus. I mean, there's more variations on Homo erectus than pretty much our domestic dog breeds. Which, by the way, I consider domestic dogs to be a ring species, and hence Chihuahuas and Great Danes, not the same species in my view. You can argue with me on that if you want. That's my view. Up through Homo heidelbergensis, which diverged into Homo sapien and Homo neanderthalis. Plenty of transitional species we have them. Transitional fossils. I keep going to species, but if you're looking at it in this sense, if you can call them species, we have them. So Ray, you're wrong on that. It's a lie when you say that there are none. And that's pretty much all this is about. Now, the majority of resources he used in here that he actually talks about, that he uses as his source material, they're at minimum 20 years old. Most of them are over 50 years old. And get this, not a single source in here is a reputable scientific journal. He uses sources like National Geographic. National Geographic is not a scientific journal. It's a popular science magazine, and yeah, kind of has some interesting stuff in it. But, there's no peer review process in determining whether or not what's put in that magazine is valid and correct, and has been sufficiently tested to show such. Oh, he also uses the World News Report as a source. It's a frickin' news magazine, and I know a newspaper, and I know from a fact of reading just my local newspaper, which is horrible in regards to science articles. Newspapers don't get science right very often. More often than not, you can just look at the title of the article, go online, find a reputable journal that actually covers that, read that, because what you're going to get in the paper is not going to be what you're going to read in the peer-reviewed journal. What you're going to read in the paper is a watered down, twisted version of what it really should be. And he uses those things as sources. Along with all those just total dishonest claims, he uses the standard creationist things such as straw mans. He claims that, that evolutionists would think that this was created by chance because organisms are created by chance or produced by chance. Of course, we don't believe any of that. And I would consider myself a biologist, not an evolutionist. No. Language evolved. Language is a parallel to organic evolution. They both occur with evolutionary formats. One deals with natural selection, genetic drift, things like that. The other one deals with, how languages well, you could almost call it lateral gene transfer in this case, because words switch from one language group to another, and they change over time just depending on how people use them. So, all in all, this is bad. It's full of lies. I mean, definitive, demonstrable lies. It's full of the same old crap that creationists have spun for a century, and has been disproven by every scientist, by nearly every scientist, by nearly every amateur scientist, by nearly every just intelligent person that has ever looked at the issue. So, if any of you out there actually get this book, some people are saying tear the pages out. It'd be kind of cool. You might be making the point, but I say keep it, read it, because they are funny. So I'm actually, I'm using kind of an angry rhetoric here just for the humor of this video, but the truth is, it's funny as hell to read. How can you shove a century's worth of creationist scientific inaccuracies into a single 50-page introduction? Okay, I've got to go. You guys take care. Bye. Hello, cutie. What's up?